I'm a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds!
I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Nerd! Holy crap, are we nerdy?
La 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 la. Oh, because the volume was down on.
You are like way high compared to anybody else.
I wish. Oh, wait.
You should do that one. Just one thing. Make sure everything's set up prior. So all you have to do is just go. Just be high on one of the podcasts.
I really want to. That'd be great. I wonder how much more interesting I would be. Welcome, Nerdables, episode 129. This week, we are going to get, as Chris put it just a minute ago, our collective nerd hard-on over...
I said nerd boner, not
nerd boner.
Nerd boner sounds a lot better.
Over Rogue One's trailer.
Nerd dixicle?
Gross.
Dixicle?
our nerd testicles.
No, it's just nerd boner.
We are going to teabag the trailer.
It's nerd boner.
Oh,
just
okay.
Relax.
We would be
God's
teabagging
sakes,
it.
Man. Take
We
one
can't-
good little piece and you guys go, nerd testicles, nerd hard-on, nerd dicticles. just say one term. It's a good term and let it go.
You can still teabag with boner.
Wow.
It's not as
There's
loose,
so
but-
many of your mom jokes I'm about to throw at you, you may always want to stop.
Holy shit. I don't think we need to be high for this one. I think Ethan's already got us right there as low as we can go. So, anyways, Rogue One trailer dropped this week.
What are all the other subjects we're talking about?
I don't know if we're going to make
Usually
it to
usually in the open, we're like, we're going to talk about this and that.
And then we don't get to
You
them.
could say ImageCon or ImageExpo, but
Well, there was also
Dude, there was
Wizard.
so much news that came out of that.
there's a lot. But I'm looking through the artists or the teams, and I'm like,
You're
yeah.
we can talk
there's
about
There's a
ImageCon.
couple that sound interesting.
Well, it's like it's
but-
like it was going. All right, we're already off on a tangent. The day that they were like announcing new stuff, it was it Brubaker's Twitter or something like that, or is this where he was just taking pictures over and over again? He was putting stuff up. So we were looking at it. I can't remember any of it right now, because that's how good my memory is.
DC Comics recreates Harvey Dent as Donald Trump. Really?
Listen to us just go through the internet. But anyway, I mean, some of it sounded interesting. But it's a weird thing. It's at like Comics Pro, Eric Stevenson said that they're not taking as many
chances.
Well, not chances.
Or-
It's like we already have enough sci-fi. So if you come to me with a sci-fi pitch,
Oh, yeah,
it's got to
yeah.
be totally different, or it's got to totally blow us away,
What?
and we're going to do it. Horror is the same thing. It's like I'm sick of reading horror.
Yeah.
You know, I'm paraphrasing. I'm sick of reading horror pitches. So you bring me a horror pitch, it's got to be amazing. Unless you're someone who already has done comics.
That was such a cool word.
Well, it's the same thing that
And that's-
Kirkman went through when he was trying to pitch Walking Dead. There's too
Right.
much other crap of zombies, and he
Well, it was
pitched
also that
this-
Eric Stevenson didn't like horror tales at all. He's not a big horror fan.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm looking at, though,
He doesn't like
is,
horrors?
Yes, he doesn't like horrors. What I'm saying is, if you're not an established creator now,
Yeah.
you have to come up with something absolutely incredible for Image to take it, because almost everybody that's there that they're putting up on is a very well respected established creator.
No, yeah.
So they aren't taking chances. That's why, I mean, I've said for the last year, Boom has the best sci-fi that's out there. Something like Cluster or Venus, which is fantastic and could have very easily been an Image book, instead goes to Boom because Image is no longer taking standard sci-fi pitches. Which, if you read Venus, Venus is a standard sci-fi pitch, but it's executed so incredibly well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as close as they can get to trying to understand what it would be like for us to try and colonize Venus. And it uses, there's a lot of research and a lot of science and so on and so forth. But it's just, I gotta question Image's commitment to anyone who isn't Brian K. Vaughan, Rick Remender.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is like these guys are all established guys and they're great. And you have, Azzarello and Rizzo doing a book or whatever, and all of this stuff, and that's fantastic. But where are those new voices that Image was supposed to be a champion of?
Well, it has become a big three now.
Yeah, but
so
that's the thing.
it's-
The problem when you get big like that is you
Yeah.
get safe.
Yeah.
It was Marvel's thing. We give Daredevil to Frank Miller because we're probably going to cancel the title. Do whatever you want. And then a year later, like, no. Just keep doing the same thing. Just repeat the last 12 issues again and again and again. Frank was able to break out of that and do something a little bit different. But that's kind of that
Well, they're
vicious
treating,
circle.
They're treating their creators also fairly decent, so they're not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
leave. So that's why well, sorry, we don't have any room on the slate for this type of book.
Well, in terms of I mean that's your
you said.
expenditures are.
I heard Boom is hiring some horror.
Yeah, it's different
sci-fi.
in terms of image also because you can't absorb losses with successes because outside of your cost as a publisher, all those successes go back to them. So you can't use the Walking Dead money to pay for
Somebody
John
else.
Doe's sci-fi story #1 that you print 25,000 copies and you don't sell more than 5. And you take that loss. They kind of can't cancel anything really. I mean, it's got to be successful out of the gate. I understand it, but it's also, I think they've lost something in trying to play it as safe as possible with people that have been established in other areas. So,
give us some of the announcements from ImageCon.
I have no idea. I don't have it. Mikey.
Anybody have it, Mikey?
The Winnebago Graveyard looked pretty cool by Steve Niles and Allison Sampson. It's a horror adventure story. Follows a family with a teenage son and what happens when their road trip goes wrong and they find themselves stuck in a town full of Satanists.
Cool.
Art looks pretty cool, at least the cover art. You got Verses by Ivan Brandon, Assad Ribic, Eve or Ive, Sporcina. All right, a bunch of names. Let's see. Follows the rise and fall of Sada Flynn, a wildly popular soldier in a time when war has been privatized and as a form of entertainment. That's cool. Armies financed and equipped by super corporations. War medics that double as pit mechanics. Sada's every move is live on TV, and for the first time, Sada finds out what it's like to lose.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
So this stuff they put on Bleeding Cool. They have Lake of Fire. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, and like proving me wrong. Lake of Fire by Nathan Fairburn and Matt Smith. It's a new Nathan Fairburn apparently worked on Scott Pilgrim, worked on Batman Incorporated. Matt Smith was Barbarian Lord, so you got someone who is fairly new. Lake of Fire is set in 1220 AD. Gears of the Elbegin. Wow. Crusade grind on. Alien mining craft infested with legions of bloodthirsty predators. Crash lands in the remote wilderness of the French Pyrenees. A small band of crusaders and a heretic are all that stands between God's kingdom and hell on earth. That looked interesting. But then the next one is Azzarello and Rizzo doing Moonshine.
Yeah.
Set during the Prohibition era, deep in the backwoods of Appalachia, tells the story of Lou Pirlo, a city slick torpedo sent from New York City, negotiated a deal with the best moonshiner in West Virginia.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean,
Well,
it's
then you
not
also
saying
have-
I'm not excited. I mean,
Brendan Fletcher and
Yeah, the whole-
Cameron Stewart doing Motor Crush.
Yeah, the Batgirl team
Batgirl team.
over in DC with Motor Crush.
Jonathan Hickman's got a new book. Hickman and Tom
Lake
Coker.
of Fire.
Jen Van Meter.
Black Monday Murders by Jonathan Hickman and Tom Coker. Classic occult indoctrination where the secret schools of magic are actually clandestine banking cartels who control all of society. But again,
they're all
having
nice.
you've got an established creator in there.
Remender and Opena. 7 to Eternity.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. You've got an established team there.
Geralt's Son, the God of Whispers, is a Machiavellian warlord
So,
who
yeah,
holds
Image-
sway everywhere in the world of Zal. I mean, it's a lot of sci-fi and just fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's because of-
Image Comics announced 19 new ongoing series at ImageExpo.
Good thing about the ongoings for Image, they end at like between 20 and 60 issues.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them keep on going like Walking Dead. So
Yeah, you have Black Magic, which is already existing. Camp Midnight, Stiegel and Kazakhstan. Codename Babushka, which has already started. Crosswind with Gail Simone and Cat Skaggs. Stags. I keep wanting to call it Skaggs, but Stags. The artist is Cat Staggs.
yeah,
Which I'm super interested in because I love her art. Cry Havoc, Simon Spurrier, Ryan Kelly, Lou Lidgers, Matt Wilson, Simon Boland. Which is already out. Expire, Jimmy Robinson and Richard Pace. Faster Than Light, Brian Haberlin. That's been out already. The Goddamned by Jason Aaron and R.M. Guerra. That's been out already. Hadrian's Wall. Kyle Higgins, Alex Siegel, Rod Rice. Heartless, Warren Ellis and Tula Lote. It'll be interesting considering.
I like Tula Lote.
Yeah.
I like her art. I still need to pick up Supreme Blue Rose, but
But there is quite a bit of sci-fi in this.
Yes, there is. Huck is already started.
Surgeon
1%. Ringside has already started. Slave Punk by Ron Wilberly. Snot Girl, that's awesome. Brian Lee O'Malley, Leslie Hung, and Mickey Quinn. No idea what that's about. Sunset Park, Ron Wimberly. Throwaways, Caitlin Kittredge and Steve Sanders. So there are some different names in here.
yeah.
Virgil by Steve Orlando and J.D. Faith. Yeah, full roster new comic series announced on July 2nd, 2015. This is actually last year's. 9 of 19 have been published so far.
I was about to say. Because like you're reading off some of these, like it's
this-
either out
this-
there or I've
yeah,
never
this-
even
this is
heard of
last
it.
year's stuff, yeah.
Well, so what? 9 came out last year. You'll
Well,
probably
the Image
the nest of the
Expo,
10.
looking back and looking ahead. That's what it was. So this was published on April 8th of 2016. So it definitely was looking back at the stuff that they announced last year through this year.
But Image is one of those. They're one of those publishers that unless you're reading comics, you don't know the publisher. You'll know the names of some of the books they publish, but you don't know that
The
they're
creators? Or-
yeah. I mean, well, a lot of them. I mean, but it's not like with Dark Horse. You can if you talk to your basic comic book fan, if you say Dark Horse, they'll know. Oh yeah, they have like Alien,
might
or
know.
they have Punisher, or they have
Hellboy.
Predator, Hellboy, things like that.
They might know.
When you talk about Image, you maybe 2 or 3 titles people can think of.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Maybe Saga.
I would say Saga's up there now. But then you start to go, okay, well, what else? And then it's like, well,
Yeah, I mean, it's the people that collect those books are going to be the ones that
Yeah, the thing
know
is,
them. So
once you get in the circle, there's obviously a lot of books that people are very passionate about, books that readers are very passionate about. So once you get in the circle, they have a lot of fairly decent sized titles that have decent printing, printing numbers there. But yeah, when the properties are, because you're not in that kind of established 60 and 70-year-old companies that have had these characters in the mainstream for decades, it's never going to reach that, because once you're done with something like, even Walking Dead, at some point Robert Kirkman's going to finish Walking Dead,
right.
and it's over. It's not like Robert Kirkman's going to give Walking Dead to Rick Remender, and then Rick Remender is going to give it to John Doe, and then John Doe is going to give it to Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is going to give it to Writer X and stuff like that, and you'll have 120 creators who've written someone like Spider-Man for 60 years. It's when he ends it at 20 years or whatever it is, it's over. And
Right.
2 decades after that, you'll be looking at it and going, yeah, I remember when that existed, but it's not, I don't think there's going to be any, you're not going to remake it. You're not going to have companies that are going to like restart The Walking Dead.
well, since it's creator owned anyway,
Exactly.
you can't really do that unless
you also don't
Kirkman
have-
says, "Yeah, go ahead."
You also don't have, with the exception of Walking Dead, you don't have a lot of distinctive characters that you would have with DC, Marvel, and
That
Well,
are
you
burned into
do,
your
but they
head.
don't interact. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, that's
you've
true.
got Walking Dead. Okay, you've got the characters that are there. You have Invincible, which
Right.
obviously has a lot of great characters. You have Southern Bastards. You read Southern Bastards by Jason Aaron. There's a lot of very memorable characters in there. They don't exist outside of that book.
Right.
Low, Lazarus, Black Science, Manifest Destiny. These all have great characters in them. They're just never going to interact.
right.
There's never going to be a point in which Rick Remender is not going to announce the Black Science team that is crossing dimensions is going to jump into Manifest Destiny in December of 2017.
Sure,
and we're
sure.
going to have a crossover.
They don't have. I mean,
not
with the exceptions of Invincibles, you really don't have a lot of quote unquote superhero type characters.
There's a few that are in there, but they're done for a bunch of different reasons. I mean, it's not. There's no superhero universe. I mean, that's why Invincible is different, because they did Guardians of the Globe, which he farmed out. As your creator, you can farm out your creation. You have Mark Miller doing Jupiter Circle,
right.
and he's having other creators kind of take pieces for miniseries. Same thing here. Kirkman owns Invincible,
Right.
but Guardians of the Globe, which was their Avengers team, was written by somebody else. He started the title Thief of Thieves with all of a sudden I can't remember the writer, but eventually James Osmus took over as a writer. Nathan Edmondson, I think, has written for it. There's a new writer right now. It's Kirkman's creation. He's responsible for paying those people.
Right.
He's responsible for hiring those people.
Well,
And
it's
that's
like
the thing
Hickman
about-
and God is Dead and a lot of his Avatar titles too. So.
Right, and that's where Image is a little bit different than a lot of other companies, because most of it is creator-owned
All of it
properties.
is. Everything
Well, yeah.
in Image is creator owned. It can't not be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're Marvel or even something like IDW or Dark Horse, where they are where they're properties that they've purchased from
Yeah,
other
it's
companies.
licensed.
Well, there's
licenses.
a mix.
Yes.
I mean, IDW does creator owned, and so does Dark Horse. It's a separate contract.
right.
Whereas Image has the same contract for everybody. We'll do all the publishing, and basically we're going to pay you what's left. Whatever's on your book, you're responsible for.
Right.
Robert Kirkman created Skybound Entertainment partly because he has a bunch of people working for him now. The artist on Walking Dead, that's his employee. The artist on Invincible, that's employee. The writer and artist on Thief of Thieves, those are his employees.
Yes.
So, and now a number of other people, marketing and what have you. This is kind of, it's funny because a couple weeks ago I read, I watched the Image Comics documentary, and they were talking about that switch between
We put Ethan to sleep.
that switch between the artists that went and formed their own studios, in Silvestri, Lee, and Liefeld, and farmed out work for dozens of titles, versus guys like Larson and McFarlane and Valentino that worked on one book or two books total and had like a total number of people working for them in single digits still. There was one other writer, two artists, a marketing person, and a communications person.
Right.
Tom McFarlane had 5 or 6 people working for him, and that's it. Whereas Jim Lee, at one point, employed 100 people.
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld was throwing money around like crazy. In this, he owned everything, and that was kind of that weird thing where you're watching it and going, if you work for Homage Studios or you work for Extreme Studios, for Lee and Liefeld respectively, everything you created, you had a portion of it,
Right.
but you didn't own it.
Yeah.
So when you created characters for Stormwatch, Jim Lee and Homage Comics owned those characters. You owned like the creation of it, and so you had a contract, much like DC had in the 70s and 80s, much like Marvel had for a little while. So here at Image, part of the reason that they don't do this type of shared universe is it's very clear cut.
Right.
You can do 80 books if Kirkman wants to publish 80 books, he can publish 80 books. It's up to Kirkman to hire people. It's up to Kirkman to pay people. You owe the money to Image first, and then everything that you have left, that goes to your employees. So someone like Robert Kirkman owns Skybound Entertainment simply because the accounting is much easier.
Right.
It's a corporation. The same thing. Rick Remender owns Black Science with Scalara. If there's this fill-in artist, they have to pay him.
But they can't just take the book and go someplace else if they
Oh, yes, they can.
can they?
As long as who knows what the contract is in
Right.
terms of if Image says after that first miniseries you owe us 80 more issues, then sure. I don't think they do that.
Right.
I think it's just more of if they decide we're going to get a better deal at Dark Horse. The thing is, they're not. This is what Image prides itself on. You're not going to get a better deal
You're right. Because
everybody else is still going to take a little bit of it. Yeah. The other companies like IDW and Boom and Dark Horse, their creator-owned contracts are built off of Image's contracts.
Right.
It's basically the same sort of thing. It's the only way to get people to go there. If you're being published at Icon at Marvel, like Bendis' stuff or Miller's stuff, the contract's probably a little different. I'm sure in Bendis' case for something like Powers, it's the same exact contract. We'll market it, we'll publish it, we'll pay for the printing, we'll market it in previews. Everything else goes to you. You got to pay everybody who works on Powers.
Right.
You got to pay the artist, you got to pay the inker, you got to pay the letter. All that's all you. That's on you. You don't pay them, they don't do the issues, whatever. I don't know how it works if it's late.
Yeah.
For stuff like that. So, I mean, there's different layers to it, but basically Image's contract is the standard contract for anything that's creator owned. And you don't see these guys who have huge studios worth of stuff that's being published. You see stuff being published by Skybound. There's a bunch of other stuff. Manifest Destiny is published by Skybound. I don't exactly know how that works because I don't know why they wouldn't just take it. I think the only difference would probably be it's up to Kirkman and his team, whoever he decides is on his board. They would make the decision whether to publish it or not.
Right.
And that's what I kind of wonder. They take something like Manifest Destiny that's pitched to Kirkman and let's say 2 other creative consultants that are with Skybound. They say we want to publish this. Kirkman takes it to Eric Stevenson and Image and says, "We're publishing this." That's the only that'd be fascinating to know. Like, how does that second tier sort of work? Because Manifest Destiny is theirs. There's another one that's theirs too that I can't remember all of a
There's
sudden.
a new one that starting too.
Yeah,
What's the Manhattan Project is?
Manhattan Project is not theirs. That's just Image.
Oh, that's just Image, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of offhand. But there's another one. I'd ask Ethan because he spends all of his time at the Skybound booth, but I don't think he looks at anything other than
Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So Ethan,
We
I've
really
really
got to find a fourth who knows.
Sebastian's not
Yeah,
here.
Sebastian's not here. Stupid festival of books.
So really, there's nothing else that Kirkman does that you'd be interested in, or anything that Skybound does that you'd be interested in? As big of a fan you are, is it just The Walking Dead that's got your nerd
It's not like I'm
boner?
against it. I mean, I don't mind it if it's something like a story comes across that I find interesting. I'll pick it up. I was reading Lazarus for the first 5 issues, and then it kind of fell off because I just didn't get interested in the story again. And then no, I think Suicide Risk was Boom.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I'm
But,
glad
I
you
mean-
took the chance on that and me. So
Yeah, no, it's all dependent really on the story for me.
That's what I miss about you going to
Well,
Comic Con,
yeah.
Mikey.
Yeah.
what?
Because you pick up some of the weirdest stuff that no one else will find,
Chris will find stuff.
and they're good stuff. Yeah, but you'd
Well,
always
it's not-
find.
No, I miss you going to Comic Con because it keeps me focused on going up and down the fucking rows instead of just like wandering in like a fucking exploding firework in different directions, and then all of a sudden on Sunday going, I didn't go down that row. I didn't go down that. Fucking Mikey, dude, show up to these things.
Now I think because when you're talking about Image and the way they do their creative own stuff, and a lot of the contracts and stuff, I kind of think Miramax at one point was doing that with films for independent films. They were bringing on people and basically saying, "We'll be your distributor. You make the film."
That's how you get the Kevin Smith and Tarantino out of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, basically, either you make your film like in Kevin Smith's case.
I miss
he paid-
those days when we had
He
to,
paid everybody out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
And then brought it, and he said, basically, I paid you guys. You guys are done. I bring this to Miramax or whatever. It was Miramax that did
It was
Clerks,
Miramax,
right?
yeah.
And they're like, we'll buy it for this, and then we'll split profits going down
Yeah.
the line. That all goes back to Kevin Smith. Whatever he wants to do with it, he does. And I think in terms of Clerks, the other writer there owns part of it because he
Right.
wrote the script with him and helped create the characters. So yeah, I mean, it's along those same lines. As a creator, hell, look at what we have right here. I
Yeah.
mean, you own this.
Yeah.
So if you decide to sell it to somebody, we're shit out of luck. But that's, you own it. So that's the sort of thing.
Fuck you guys.
I would say you pay us now, but you don't.
I pay in love.
Yeah, you don't even pay in that.
Wow.
Come on, I tried to say it with a straight face. So speaking about love, we're just going to jump right into it because Rogue One,
So it was Tuesday? Wednesday? Tuesday? What day did it drop?
it dropped
Thursday.
Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Yeah.
So yeah, Thursday we got because it was on
Because
the
Tuesday
morning.
was when Star Wars came out on the Blu-ray DVD.
And then you got the teaser the night before. It was just a short picture of what looks like a shadow trooper or dark trooper.
It's
or
the Death Troopers.
Death Trooper. And then they're like, oh, it's going to be on Good Morning America tomorrow at 7 a.m. And then they just put it on the website at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, okay, guys, don't watch Good Morning America.
Well,
Here
so
you go.
it was what I was telling Rich is that Good Morning America airs in New York, so it was 3 hours ahead of us. So yeah, we got it at the right time because
So was it for okay? That was my message.
That was
the
my
story
question,
that
too.
I read was it seemed like that person who wrote it assumed that it was released at 4 a.m. Eastern time on the Star Wars website. So it was released on the website
The
at
same
7
time.
a.m.
He said he got
there.
the message at 5 that morning.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
because that would have been 8. That's
So-
probably where it was. It's been an hour into it. So
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Let's see if I can go back that far.
But yeah, that's what I'm assuming is that they're like, okay, it's aired on GMA. Now we can put it on our website for everybody to see. Not even thinking like, oh, maybe we should wait until the
Yeah,
West
wait until
Coast
the
see
West
it.
Coast see it.
5:16 a.m. It's here. The official teaser trailer for the Rogue
Yeah,
One.
They must have showed it right at 8.
So
The
that's
funny
the other
thing with
question.
that is like when they announced it the night before, like, oh, watch GMA in the morning. And they've done this with Jimmy Kimmel. When Jimmy Kimmel premiered the Civil War trailer, right? So really, as someone like us, especially when we're here on the West Coast, someone asked me like, "Oh, are you gonna tape GMA in the morning? You gonna wake up?" No, I'm just gonna wait till it shows up on my phone,
Yeah.
and it's on my phone. It's just like why I don't understand it. The
It's
best thing they
literally
could have
on
done-
YouTube like 3 minutes afterwards.
yeah, and that's where like I don't understand. I guess maybe it's for people not like us who are as connected to it. It's probably for younger children or whatever. Not younger children, but you know what I mean. That may not be. I don't know. It's just kind of that weird thing. Like I don't think of that The same thing with Kimmel, where they're like, "Well, you got to watch Jimmy Kimmel because the Civil War trail's on." I'm like, no.
IMDb
Like, well,
will have it on the next.
yeah,
that night
and
or the
even
next
when
day.
in the-
Yeah, but
the
for
case
somebody
of-
like Mikey who doesn't have
Internet? I have internet.
Facebook, who doesn't have Facebook, because I know on at least on my thread, and it's got to be pretty close on yours.
I got it from the app.
Well, I got it from the app too, but I'm talking
here's-
about like Civil War or something like that. 90% of your first, when you get up in the morning the day of, 90% of your threads on your Facebook page are that trailer. Whether
Well, in the case of someone like Mike, again, if he's not that connected, it's probably because he doesn't really care.
right,
You haven't even seen it yet.
No.
You're not interested in seeing it until it premieres on a big
yeah.
screen. Melissa,
Yes.
as a fan, if she has the app, she still didn't like connect into it that day. It was later. It was like in the afternoon or whatever, because it was sort of like
It's
okay.
there.
Yeah,
So
it's there. It's not like she's
Yeah.
gonna miss it.
yeah.
You know,
I
that was
didn't
that
watch
sort
it
of
until I got home from work. Like that's
Yeah, for someone like me, that from the start, like as they're describing this film and what this film is or is hoping to be, I was stupid excited for it. So when the trailer hit, I just wanted to I want to see what this trailer looks like. I want to see kind of what this
And you wanna
tone
hear
and this
it.
theme and
Right. Is
the
it going to be in the
characters
same
and whatever.
the same tone as the
I want
rest?
to see
of
it
them?
before someone else blows it at the shop.
yeah,
too.
the same thing too. It was like I want to see. I'm fine with that first trailer.
Yeah.
You know, going forward, I don't want to see anything, but I wanted to see what kind of feeling am I going to evoke from this trailer. Now, you and I were talking the other night, and the difference between this trailer and Episode 7, and this is kind of where we wanted the discussion to go, because it's very weird when,
Yes.
when you put the two of them together. The full trailer for Episode 7 on the first day of Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
It was something, as I'm watching it, it's a very ethereal. There was a lot of emotion because you're going back to characters, you know, the Han Solo and Chewie scene obviously was the big thing, but also you're seeing new characters. You know, it's in this tone, style. You know, it's a trilogy. You're not going to get a lot of information. You know that you've got a long journey ahead. So the end of that trailer, we were talking about the film that Lucasfilm released, the short movie, or not movie, but you know, it was like different scenes from Celebrations,
Right.
different people in reaction. And there's that guy on the floor with like his hands on his head, and you could tell he was crying. He's like, "Oh my god, I don't believe what I just saw." You know, you and I going as huge Star Wars fans, this means something to us.
Yeah, I
The
was
fact
in
that
tears.
You know, yeah. See, once I
Nerds.
finally was like watching
Shut up.
it and whatever, just because we
Nerds.
like stuff, and you can only go zombies.
nerds.
Anyway, shut up. The difference between that and something like this, where it's this whole new experience. We've never seen a standalone film, live
Right.
action film before. We've never seen them try to expand this universe in this sort of way.
Tell another part of the. I
Yeah.
mean, we
And
get it with the expanded universe and stuff like that.
Right.
But that on
But
screen
it's
to have some another
something
part of the.
that is
of the
supposed to
universe.
feel different, and is supposed to even look a little different. And they put that on again, Episode 7. Oh, they put this on, and I got to the end. I was like, "Fucking December? Are you out of your fucking mind?"
Yeah.
I loved this trailer from every. It's just like, oh, yeah, fucking X-wings, and she's all awesome, and oh, that guy's hitting with
They're
the
on
stick.
Yavin
and
4.
and then fucking AT-ATs.
Yes.
As the AT-ATs are I love AT-ATs because when in 1981, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I scream in the theater, or at least in my head or theater, whatever. The Empire has metal dinosaurs. Like, how awesome is that? So I've always had this love affair with AT-ATs. So when they show up, blowing shit up and everything, and that's like that whole day. I'm going, this thing is so cool. It's so exciting. Like, you're just so ramped up for it in such a different way.
Well,
Like, almost, if you were to look at it from just like an outsider's point of view, you're more excited for Rogue One than you were for Episode 7.
Because you're getting a lot of familiar things.
I think that it's a different sort of thing. It's also the Episode 7 thing. You're sort of like, okay, I don't want this to suck.
Yeah.
And we've had one, and we know, okay, it's in good hands or whatever you want to do. But it was just, it's a different kind of
What's the
excitement.
ongoing story anyway?
Yeah.
Where it's a different it's still part of the ongoing story with Rogue One, but you only hear about it. You don't
Right.
see any of it.
And I think it's a weird to realize that we know more about Rogue One going into it than we did about Episode 7. Because they didn't tell you almost any of the plot of Episode 7 before it came out.
Oh, in this one,
You knew the characters. With this, like, you know the basis
Well,
of
we
the plot.
speculated quite a bit
Oh,
of
no,
it.
we did. But in terms of what Lucasfilm Disney has given you,
Right.
the characters that are going to arrive, what the story is going to be, they've given you so much more for Rogue One, and I think that attributes to it as well.
What are you talking about in that 1 minute 30 trailer?
No, just in the general terms.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
already told us what the synopsis is.
Yes.
The synopsis was Episode 7 was a stormtrooper finds a chick on a planet,
Yes.
and that's it. They don't tell you
And
anything.
Han Solo and
they
Chewbacca
don't-
show up.
Again, not even that. Just in terms of what they give you, in terms of words, in terms of what
Right.
the IMDb synopsis was nothing versus what Rogue One is. You know, a rebel character infiltrates the Death Star to find plans to stop this ultimate weapon from destroying the... Okay, I kind of know what the plot is, and I think that attributes to it also, where you're just sitting there going, I can't wait to see this unfold. I want to, come on, let's go, let's do it.
I kind of wonder if it's something like Disney was like, Episode 7 is something that we have to protect for the sake of it being sacred, but this is our own project now, so maybe we
Well,
can...
it's also-
I think giving anything away for Episode 7 starts giving away stuff for Episode 8 and 9, and you want everything to kind of develop the way that it develops. Where
Right.
with this, you've got 2 hours or whatever this movie's going to be, and you're done.
You're also talking about this is the first standalone movie. It's a first subplot that takes you away from the lineage of the Skywalker family. So, you know, they're expanding. This is like Rebels or even the Clone Wars to an extent. Yeah, but you know,
You start at point A,
you're diverging.
you have to end at point B. So tell whatever the hell you want in
And
between.
that's the other thing is
I mean,
you're
this
telling
is-
a whole trilogy for the lack of a better word with the Star Wars movie in 2 hours.
Well, that's the thing, is you're not telling a whole trilogy, because why you put it where it's at in terms of days or weeks before the Battle of Yavin, before the events of Episode 4, is as a fan, you're going into it, you know exactly where you are. You know the Empire controls the galaxy. You know the Emperor's on the throne. Darth Vader is his right-hand man. Grand Moff Tarkin and these other guys, and they're building the desk. We've already seen all this.
Right.
You walk into it with that, and all you need, and that's what makes this, to me, so awesome, is, and the reason that they picked, we just have to go in and tell this cool story. We got a brand new character who looks totally badass, and her group of super commandos that are going to go get the plans that you're going to see, that you saw 35 years ago.
Right.
Done. Like, it's not any. It doesn't need to be any bigger than what it is. You know she's not going to blow up the Death Star.
Right.
She's not saving the galaxy. She's not reestablishing the Jedi. She's not saving the rebellion from certain doom.
Right.
Because Luke does it when he blows up the Death Star. And you're sitting here going, this is all I need, and let's see how it happens. And that's what a lot of the expanded universe, when it was set in
I was
those
about to
pieces.
say, this is the first EU movie, isn't it?
I mean,
Yes.
it's the same idea as something like Rogue Squadron in terms of the novels, where when you reestablished the EU in the 90s there, you established the idea that the New Republic, and heir to the Empire, the New Republic was in control of most of the galaxy
Right.
5 years, 6 years, whatever it was, right after Return of the Jedi. Your first thing, like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, after
Well,
the Battle of
you had the
Endor.
truce of Bianca, or
Well, no, that's later. This is what I'm saying.
that was months after Jedi.
It
Then
was
you
months
had
after Jedi, but you never saw, how did you take Coruscant? You know how they took Coruscant? It's in Rogue Squadron.
Right.
How did they lose Coruscant again so that they could get to Dark Empire because they screwed up and like, oh, Dark Empire's later. The Imperial's there. That's in Rogue Squadron. They were filling those little gaps within their own EU.
Yes.
That's what this is, and they've talked about that in terms of the story group and the publishing side. I can never remember her name all of a sudden. She was the editor before, and she is now. She's so part of the thing that they're choosing, these holes, these pieces. They're probably not going to do. We need to reestablish the old Republic. At some point, they might, but they're not going to do that anytime soon because it's a lot of time. If they
Yes.
ever do an old Republic trilogy, and maybe they will at some point, you're reestablishing an entire universe.
correct.
Where are you at? I just started rereading the.
It's like if they
the
tried
Knights of
to-
the Old Republic or the Old Republic comic series from Dark Horse. One of the collections for it. And there's so much world build in that. Okay, this is where we're at. The Republic's here. This is what the Jedi mean to the Republic. This is what the Mandalorians are doing, invading. That's what this is, and it's all world build. Where with this, you don't have to build anything.
Well, look at when they did the
The only thing they're
Dawn
really
of the
building
Jedi.
is that's those big things. I don't know if they're going to do that anytime soon. Rather than look at something like this and go, well, how did they show up with the plans? How
Yeah.
did they get the plans? Here's how it happened. She's a rebel. We know what the rebellion is at this point. We know what the Empire is at this point. We know the Death Star is coming, and we, kind of shove these characters into roles we already know, and give you just a story that doesn't need to be any bigger than it is and can still be amazing because it's going to be a great, hopefully.
But what do you think is going to happen to these characters that people now will fall in love with from Rogue One?
It's the same thing you can, because that's part of what they said with Episode 7. We have to establish new characters.
Yes.
But
because of where you're,
the EU does this very well in terms of comics and games or comics and games and books, but they never had this kind of reach.
Right.
Here's where you can get something. What were the most popular comics? The ones that had Han, Luke, and Leia in them.
Other than Rogue Squadron.
Doesn't matter. Still the most popular comics. Dark Empire blew all those other ones away.
Sure.
What were your most popular books? All the ones with Han, Luke, and Leia.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the books that people were attached to. People at Disney and Kathleen Kennedy admitted, we have to create new characters in film, in the largest media base that people will pay attention to, that people will love and adore, because we need to keep going.
And as we saw with WonderCon, Rey has completely taken over.
But we also seen what's the next step down?
Right.
TV. What's the most popular character outside of that original trilogy who's ever existed? It's Ahsoka.
Yes.
Because she's on TV. People have a connection to her. We've seen her all these years in Clone Wars. You give them this movie, and you can do comics, books, TV, cartoons, another movie somewhere down the line with these characters that people may attach themselves to. Could there be a Rogue 2, Rogue One, the second? Sure. If she survives, you've got all these stories. Battle of Yavin happens. They got to find a new base.
Right. That's what I was going to say. You could fill in. You could fill in
do.
between. With Rogue 2 could be finding Hoth. Rogue 3 could be getting with the Bothans to get the second.
Or you can just make it your own. You don't even have to. At this point, if you can establish it where your character is super important and that people will follow that character wherever it goes, you don't have to make it about any of the other films.
Right.
You can just make it Rogue 2, Rogue 1, 2, whatever.
Well, like in Aftermath, though, there was a character that was in there that was in another previous book, like Tarkin or whatnot. So you can have, like Chris was saying,
you'll have those connections.
Are in there, just not.
But when you establish your character as important, you can do another film where it isn't even connected to Empire or Jedi. It's simply her and her team or whoever is just trying to stop the Empire from stopping a slave ring, stopping the Empire from crushing.
You can put them in other missions throughout the galaxy,
and they don't have to have any connection.
Right. Speaking of connections and everything, as soon as everybody saw the character of what's her name, Jen, what I forget the last name on it, Felicity Jones's character.
Felicity Jones, Barnaby Jones.
As soon as everybody saw Felicity Jones's character, everybody automatically went, "That's Rey's mom."
I don't know if everybody automatically.
A lot of
people. I know
people.
you did, so you wanted to make sure everybody else did. But.
Well, no, I just did that as a cool meme because it was Rogue One.
Here's my problem
and Red
with that.
5.
There has to be a point where you make this universe bigger, and if you connect everything, you
I
have
know,
the
we
first
talked-
film
yeah.
that's not connected to these 9 other trilogy films. What will be 9 other trilogy films? Just let everything alone. I'd love for this to just be the only connection you see is Mon Mothma, and kudos to Lucasfilm and Disney. In terms of characters, to Lucasfilm and Disney for hiring the same actress who played Mon Mothma in Episode 3, who had all of her
In the
scenes
deleted
cut.
scene, yes.
Oh, really?
Because she's
Yeah.
it's the same
Oh,
actress.
in Episode 3.
Yeah, in Episode 3, there's mostly because I know it's in the
I
book,
remember
it's in the
hearing about
comic.
that too.
There's Padme and Bail and Mon Mothma, and I think one other character are already starting to talk about what are we going to do about the Emperor.
Yeah.
Once the war's over, what do we do? How do we get him to give up all his?
Well, there's also a scene where they're talking about the Emperor's, Palpatine's power and how it's become too much.
That's the scene.
Yeah,
That's
but
what they're talking
there's
about.
like 2 or 3 scenes.
There was one scene. They're all sitting in an
But you
apartment or
do see
whatever.
her at the very end. There is one scene where you do see her behind Bail and everything. I think that it was still left in there.
I don't think it is, but one way or the other. Anyway, they hired the same actress who looks spot
Oh my
on.
God.
She's got a great voice.
There were a
And
lot
so
of
it
people
very
that thought
fit-
that they imposed the original actress's face on her.
Yeah, she looks-
which I found out that's illegal. You can't do that because of Crispin Glover,
Well, yeah.
where
That's the
Back to the
thing.
Future 2, where he sued them.
Well, yeah. They shouldn't do that.
That's
without them
it's illegal now
knowing.
to
Well,
do that at
it's
all.
illegal without
Paid
your
either.
permission. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, you have to have
Yeah.
permission. But I think is she dead or something? I don't know. The original actress.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, it's spot on Mon Mothma.
Genevieve O'Reilly. That's her name.
Yes.
Stormtrooper.
Wasn't there another general? What the older general? Didn't he look like somebody else from either we see on Hoth or towards the?
I don't think they're using Riken or Dodonna. Because obviously, I don't think they're going to be able to do General Dodonna, who was on the Yavin. He gave the briefing.
Right.
General Riken is the commander of the Hoth base.
Right.
I don't think they're going to use him either. I really don't think there's going to be other connections. I know a couple people have come out and said, "Well, Diego Luna is going to be big Starkiller."
There were a lot of people.
And as we were
Because of the
talking
mustache.
last night, and I said that's impossible because if you take the scene in Episode 4,
The Anchorhead scene.
the Anchorhead scene, which they've removed, but you think it's probably still canon. He hasn't jumped yet. He hasn't joined the rebellion yet.
But even
At the point in
Luke's
which he
dialogue
lands
with
with-
Uncle Owen, where
Yeah.
he talks about his friends just leaving.
So no, Biggs wouldn't be a part of the rebellion at this point, unless
He would be actually.
the only thing I can think is if they do it in terms of days, but they can't. No, they can't because they're already still in the plans because the plans are on Leia's
Correct.
ship. So
They would. The Biggs would be in the Imperial Academy right now.
yeah,
So she could find him on the but yeah, I don't think he would have his
the other
mustache
rumor-
at that point.
Well, the
'cause
other rumor is she finds somebody else at the academy, wasn't it? Oh no, that's not it. That's something else. Never mind.
Well, there was rumors that Grand Admiral Thrawn was going to be in it.
Well, that wasn't the rumor that it was supposed to be like young Han was supposed to be in it or something like
Young
that.
Han's supposed to be
And
in
that
it.
was
Darth
like,
Vader's
you and
supposed
I.
to be.
Cameo
I think Vader's
or
in it. I think Vader has the cameo.
I think Vader is.
There's a shot in there of him of a character. We have a new villain. I don't even know who plays the villain. I don't know which one of these guys plays the villain, but you see him really quick.
But also the music for when the Rogue One title comes up, it's a very slow Imperial march.
well, yeah, but
It's
that's an Imperial thing. I mean, that's not even Vader.
That used to be originally it was for just Vader, but then
Yeah.
it
Well,
expanded.
it's called the Imperial March, not called Vader's theme for a reason.
Right.
You have the white suited Imperial officer
With the cape.
who has a badass cape, like to the floor, billowing out, total superhero, supervillain.
Well, you see him walking through the water.
Well, yeah, that and him. That's
It looks
when
like Magneto so
when
much.
he's approaching the hologram thing. That's where I think you're going to see Vader. He looks so cool. It's
Yeah.
like so, and that's where it was like, oh, it's going to be Grand. I never thought they were going to use Grand Admiral Thrawn.
No,
I think unfortunately they are going to use him in Rebels, but that's for another day.
I think you won't see any aliens within the Empire in a film.
Well, see, the thing is,
And that's why that was the whole thing
Well,
with
here's the
Thrawn.
thing.
Thrawn, why he was put out into
right.
the
But here's the thing: that's non-canon.
yes,
Not a single canon story has ever said that the Emperor is a speciest. Not one. Not one. There's no.
No.
There's no new canon.
Tarkin.
Tarkin is. I'm not talking about Tarkin. I'm talking about the Emperor. Because remember, the Emperor keeps the Masamita with
Right.
the horns at the end.
right.
He never gets rid of these people. That was
in Tarkin, yeah, you're right.
Tarkin has always been. Tarkin has been described as a species before in the early EU, and he's described as a speciest in Tarkin. He thinks humans are better than the aliens. In terms of the Emperor, there's no confirmation in any of the new canonical literature or games or comics or whatever that he's a speciest. That he only
See, I
deals
think
with
they
humans.
should because in that way it helps to take all the species that you saw in episode 1, 2, and 3, and they're gone. And why there aren't so many Wookiees throughout the galaxy and things like that.
Well, the Wookiees is because they're slaves.
right.
I mean, they've.
I have a feeling
they
it's
have
going to
the-
be something we're going to see in Han Solo.
I don't think you will see him because it came out, and it was really it came out in an idea that they were trying to make the Emperor even more evil than he was.
right.
I was like, look how terrible this guy is. He's even more terrible because he doesn't like.
He's like
all these different
Hitler
characters. Yeah.
times 1,000.
I don't know if they want to shut off the idea of having Imperial commanders, stormtroopers, whatever, as aliens. They probably will at some point,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they want to shut that off right now, especially if we think that Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to show up in Rebels. It's not like they're on the other side of the galaxy. I mean, they're in that sort of mid to outer rim.
Mm-hmm.
Who know? I mean, who knows? I mean, it's a minor point,
right.
but it's still something to point out. Is we don't know. They haven't told us yet whether they're going to continue that sort of idea from from the EU. But
Well, the
yes,
Inquisitors are aliens, aren't they? I mean, you have Night
Yes,
Sisters.
they are. The
so-
Inquisitors. But that's the thing. That's the thing that makes me believe that they're not going forward with that.
Yeah.
Because the Inquisitors, although they're not Vader's Inquisitors, they're the Emperors, and none of them are
Right.
human, as far as we know. I don't know.
Well,
about
we
the
don't know a
woman.
lot about the Inquisitors yet.
Yeah, but we've already they've shown you 4 Inquisitors.
Unless he's just grabbing force sensitive,
Well, yeah, because everybody can use the Force right
Right.
after the thing. We'll get to that in a minute too. You've seen 4 Inquisitors, and you know that 3 of them are not human. Because
Yes.
we haven't seen who the woman is under the
Well-
helmet.
Don't we know she's a Night Sister though, or a Night Sister?
No, no, we're talking about
I
the
don't-
seventh sister, Sarah Michelle Gellar's voice, right?
Yeah.
We saw her face.
Did we?
Yes,
I don't remember that.
she's got kind of a gray face.
Okay, well there you go.
Kind
All
of
4 of them are
but we
aliens.
don't see what the last one that shows up
Yeah.
in the Twilight of the
Oh,
Apprentice.
I thought we saw him.
No, he never takes off his mask.
That's
That's why I still don't think he dies, because he's the only one you don't see actually get stabbed through with a lightsaber. He goes flying off of the Sith temple.
yeah. He's Finn's grandfather, right? Because they all have to be connected.
He was Luke.
In terms of something that you said last night is we really hope, outside of seeing Vader in a cameo, nobody in this film can use the Force, and nobody in this film uses a lightsaber.
Yes.
We've seen what is it, Donnie Yu's character
Yeah.
with a bow staff take on stormtroopers because he's like, hey, I'm a fucking badass, and I'm just going to take on a bunch of armored dudes with a
I think
stick.
that's the
And that's what I
solution
hope.
for it.
Like, if you have martial arts, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
And watch, they're going to tell him that he's a master of Terrascasi too, or something like that.
that
You
would be,
know that's-
that would be awesome.
That's the type of thing that I love. Like, if you put that in there, who cares? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just kind of funny, and you chuckle.
that
at
would
it.
be great.
And that's the thing. If they put that in there you go. And we've also seen, like, she's carrying batons at one point. She's taking on stormtroopers with batons and sticks. So hopefully that's as far as it gets. You get that melee combat. That
What worries
that you
me is
want.
that Forrest Whitaker's
without it.
character is a Jedi.
I don't think he is. I think he's just a. I mean, you can have a sage without,
Well, the whole idea with episode 7, where we saw Maz's character and then
Max von Sydow's character.
yes.
Just
They're-
watching that
they're-
part last night, where Maz says, I can't use the Force, but I know of it.
right.
I know about it. You
And
know,
Maz and Max's character is he believes in the Force and the beliefs of it, but he's not a Force user, is the way they described him in the
Right.
in the
book.
yes. Thank you. I couldn't get the word out. So Ethan, as somebody that's a novice,
Hold on.
What?
Writing credits. According to IMDb, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, 2016. Chris White's screenplay, John Knoll's screenplay, Gary Whitta's story. John Knoll's story, Gary Whitta's story. George Lucas, and you just like, characters. Okay. I will write Rogue One for you. I will write Rogue One for you.
You will
I
get
gave
me a
you the
Diet Coke.
plot. I get a writing credit.
And a
Ethan,
Diet Coke.
as a novice of Star Wars, what do you think of Rogue One?
What's a novice? You mean a novice?
So, anyways, Chris, the AT-ATs.
You mean the all-terrain armored transports?
God damn it, Ethan! I don't give you much time to speak, but when you do, you just get the words out.
He did get the word out. He
Yeah,
was
shut
correcting
up.
you because you were incorrect.
A novice.
You still said it wrong.
Novice.
Are you a novice?
A
or are you-
novice.
Are you a novice or a novelist? Like,
I
which
don't
one-
know at
yeah,
this
which
point.
one-
I'm
Okay.
confused.
As a novice
Okay.
of Star Wars, what did you think of Rogue One? And at this point, I don't really give a shit what the fuck you say. I don't care.
So why ask the question?
I was giving you a chance to speak. I love the fact that
Brazil-
they're on Yavin 4.
In Brazil, it's called Rogue One: Uma Historia Star Wars. Historia? Is Historia a story?
It's a Star Wars story.
English title: Star Wars Anthology Rogue One XW.
I'm surprised they use story instead of tale. I don't know.
A Star Wars tale.
Yeah. Sort of thought that.
That goes
Would
back
fit
to all.
better,
That
but-
goes back to all the Dark Horse stuff. Tales of the Jedi. There was something else. Tales of the Force or something. But no, I'm so glad it's on Yavin 4 because obviously we're that close to it, and we get to see a lot more of the base there, which I've always loved that base.
The
So
Sassi Temple.
yeah,
It is rumored that Peter Cushing would reprise his role as Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars. Even though Cushing died in 1994, he would be resurrected via CGI archival footage from his film.
Well, that's what they were saying, is that they were going to be able to do that. They'd just get an actor, and then they would
make him look really bad, like they did with.
God, episode 3.
Well, it's the same.
And the fact they made
did
that
with-
figure based off of that, oh,
I
that
know.
looked horrendous.
But they could get that actor again and just do a lot better makeup with it this time.
Well, it's like what they did with Paul Walker for Furious 7.
Yeah, but they got his brothers to fill in.
They
This
still,
this
they
is the
CGI'd
second
him.
theatrical Star Wars spin-off after Star Wars Clone Wars, and the first live-action one since the television film Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
Yeah. Let's see, they do. They count those as live action spin-offs.
I don't think anybody counts them.
Well, I guess those are EU.
Well, John Williams isn't composing this one, so this is going to be the first Star Wars movie that he hasn't
You
composed.
just stole my thunder. This will mark the first time in which John Williams will not compose. a
Speaking of
live-action
which,
theatrical Star Wars film.
John Williams showed up at the opening of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter this week.
Yeah, because he did the music for Harry Potter.
Right. No, I know, but it was great. He did it for the
iconic
first
theme.
movie. Not all of them. He didn't do it for all of them. Because
Well, all of them use his music, so
Well, but they changed up some of the music, so after him. But it was still his original score, but they added their own mix to it. But yeah, he was there for the. It looked like he was only like his arm was in a sling or something because he was when he was.
Well, he's
As long
like
as he can-
90, isn't he?
as long as he did no, because I keep saying that, and Melissa keeps correcting me.
He's
It's like
close.
84, 85.
He's
There
like
was something in
89.
there because I think we figured out that when we first did it, if he was going to do episode 9, he would have been 90 at the time. If he recorded the year that episode 9 was going to be released or something like that. As long as he does the 3 dates at the Hollywood Bowl, that's all I care about.
this fall.
Yeah, because I'm going to all 3 of them because that's probably the last time he's going to do it. Because if he is, because he doesn't do it the year that he's composing for Star Wars, so he's not doing next year. And then the year after that, he's like 89. So he probably won't do it then either.
So yeah, what'd you think? He is 84 years old. February 8th, 1932 is when he was born.
He's old.
He's old. So, the trailer it blew me away. I can't wait to see it. I know Mikey's waiting to see it in front of Civil War or wherever it's going to first premiere in the theater. I can't wait to see it in the theater because that's going to just be.
If it doesn't, I don't know if I'll hold off and if it doesn't show in front of Civil War.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we expect these sort of things and they don't show up.
Yeah, there was
some,
something that
there was
I
some big
expecting
trailer
and I'm
last
like,
year and we're like,
what?
nope.
No,
It might have been the Star Wars
We were
trailer
thinking the Star Wars
before,
trailer was going to show.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, with those going to
And
see
it
it
never-
before Age of Ultron, it wasn't there.
Well, that's my thing. Is I'm thinking is it's so far out they may hold off until like the summer to show it. They may not
It's
show
not
it.
that far off. I mean, this is we're a month earlier than what we got the Star Wars trailer.
Yeah,
last
it's still
year.
7 months.
And the only
ahead
reason,
of-
the only reason they saved the Star Wars trailer was because of Celebration.
Right.
Celebration this year is until July. So they weren't going to wait until July to put that.
I think it's a
trailer
week before Comic-Con.
Next year, it's D23 is like the week before Comic Con or the week
Yes,
of
I
Comic-Con.
know.
out. Oh my god!
I looked at that and I was like,
I was like, oh, what's Rich
no.
gonna do? That's 2 conventions right in we're
I
up.
told Beth, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad.
Okay, well here's the thing. Since you guys did WonderCon on a budget, start saving for it.
Oh, yeah.
now.
We did WonderCon on a budget, but I still
do
spent,
the put. Get home from WonderCon.
I still got everything I wanted.
Get home from Comic-Con and do what my friend Doug does. So every week he puts whatever the week is. So he puts $52 and then 51 and then 50 whatever. And it gets you to like $1,700 by the end of the year or something like that. Because he does it for Christmas. Like on
It's like
December
the first
26th.
day is like
Yeah, well, the
one.
first Friday after Christmas, he puts $52 away. And then 51 and then 50 and then 49 for
Yeah,
whatever.
okay.
That's
And
interesting.
so every week, and so the week before Christmas, he puts in $1 or whatever,
Yeah.
or he takes the last 4 weeks and puts it together because it ends up being $8. So he has all his money ready to go for Christmas.
That's cool.
So that's what, and I looked at that and I was like, that's a really good idea.
That's
Yeah.
a really good idea.
Because like that seems easy, and for me, because like I sit there every week that I get my paycheck and go, okay, take $100 out and put it up to Comic Con, and I don't consistently do it.
Right.
I try to do it, and I've been okay. I've been better this year than I have been, last year. But
It's like this year, I've got to take a whole paycheck. Sometime between now and July, I've got to take a whole
yeah,
paycheck.
yeah, like
waited
WonderCon.
too
Basically,
late.
WonderCon, I set aside a quarter of my paycheck to use at WonderCon, in addition to like $200 I had, put away outside of the Comic Con money. So I was sort of looking at that. I'm like, that's probably a good.
When I
idea.
was going, I always put $20 away each week,
Yeah.
every paycheck, because I get paid
yeah, but
weekly.
you're
so,
like
but
disciplined like a bitch, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
disgusting. I really hate your guts. It's just gross. I'm gonna get up soda, and he does it. He's all like,
well,
cool.
no, that don't.
That's
there's
why he
a
got.
difference.
That's why he got beer tonight. Was because he didn't want to have soda.
Can't drink soda, so I'll drink beer. I don't drink beer enough, so
Hey, there's still Guinness in the house. Let's drink it. Let's just get it going. Party time. Go team, go.
So, before we wrap up, I know we had our Walking Dead season finale last week, but Chris, you weren't on it. So, did you get to watch the season finale?
Yes,
What'd you think?
it was the season finale.
As somebody that reads the comic book but hasn't caught up to the comic book but knows
That was close.
where it's going, were you happy they didn't show who they kill? Were you disappointed? Because the
Well,
internet was mixed all the way
What
around.
I was saying disappointed is that I got to listen to 6 months of the internet bitching about who the fuck it is.
Yes.
So, like, because
The thing that's funny to me is that people are like,
Oh, you woke up now.
oh, the audio where it blacks out is it says it there, so they're like raising the levels of the audio.
yeah,
and
supposedly
like
if you
trying to,
raise the
like-
audio, you can hear Maggie scream Glenn.
Oh, really?
That's supposedly someone says. I listened to it.
and you
and-
can hear Glenn go the whole Maggie type deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just
Wow, people really become desperate to know.
because either it's Glenn, or before the end of the season premiere, he's going to kill Abraham, Sasha, and Eugene, because you have 3 characters that seem to have reached where they are going to go
Yes.
in the show.
Yes.
Because Sasha is whatever. We haven't seen anything from the last time Sasha was interesting was when she was suicidal because boyfriend got eaten or whatever.
Right.
And so
Abraham
now
reached
all of a
his
sudden,
arc.
out of nowhere, Abraham's like, you know what? I want some chocolate. So he gets rid of Rosarita.
Well, that's the way it kind of
Who's
happens
become
in the book. But
yeah, but I don't care. What I'm talking about the show.
Yeah.
From the show to me, you can end all 3 of those characters' arcs right now,
Yeah.
and they're fine. You're
But,
not
but
sitting
the
there-
funny thing is,
if
his
you
arc
kill
ends
Glenn-
in the book right after he decides to dump Rosita.
Yeah, well, there you go. If you kill Glenn in terms of where they left him in the show, I think there's a lot more potential for him.
Yes.
So that's why to me, that's my guess. But I mean, it's
Well, Ethan, we were talking about that as what our top 3 would be, and everybody had on their top 3 Carol until we see that Carol is nowhere near. But yeah, Abraham's in the top, was in the top, and Glenn obviously because
and you've
the
got this
book.
thing where you've changed Eugene so much from what he was. So why not kill him now? You know, that's it's.
He's already
I
one
don't
useful
have,
thing. They've
I don't
already
have
done.
that same connection that a lot of people. I'm like, okay, that's the season ender, and I'm done, and I
Yeah.
can go on and move on to other things. I wasn't, you know, I don't know. It's just it's. I'm not saying it's bad. And it was good. I enjoyed it, but I'm not like, oh my god. You know what? In terms of the technical show itself, Negan's speech is way too long for TV.
That's what
My
everybody said.
God, is that thing too long? And it get to the point. I mean, I'm sitting there going, "All right, I'm going to hit the fast forward button," because it's not anything specific.
Right.
You know, if it's specific, like I have 1,000 men, we have this facility, I can tell you whatever I want because none of you are going to make it. It was just all, you know, like when you get to the forest and the forest sees you and the jaguar's in it, and that jaguar decides that it's got a big boner. That boner comes down and meets Lucille, and Lucille's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's all abstract stuff that I'm sure you like. If you really pay attention, go, okay, I can see what he's saying here or whatever.
I think it was Mikey who said that he lost his. What you said? Your
anxiety.
Your anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was telling me about it too, and he gets into it, and he's like, you're really sitting there, and if the speech was going and he suddenly turned on somebody,
Right.
That's what I was waiting for. Like I'm sitting there watching it, going, okay,
In mid sentence,
he's gonna,
bam.
and then he's just gonna pop that bat in one direction, and you just see like the back of him like throw the bat up,
yeah.
and then hear someone scream, and that was going to be the end of it. Like I purposely didn't check the time to see how much time was left at that point.
When it came back from
Because-
commercial, it was almost like 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't know how much time was left. Going, okay, that could be the end of it, or it's Rick Bixby, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But as it kept going, the tension sort of disappeared. And for someone like me, like Mike and I, you watched all of Justified as well, but especially those, they did tension so well.
Yes.
Those standoffs. And I thought they more often than not, and most of the time, 99%, they found that perfect moment.
Yep.
Where you break it in one way or another, something happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he's in the hotel and that assassin shows up and they're sitting at the table and you're just waiting for something to happen. You're like, this tension is fantastic.
Yeah.
It never got,
Or even in the restaurant where when they had Alan Tudyk's character.
yeah. So you're just like, I find with The Walking Dead that they play stuff out too long.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who's the showrunner, because season 2. I fast forwarded through 10% of season 2.
Yeah.
Because
The
the whole
farm.
thing, yeah. Well, the hell with the farm. The one where Daryl goes out to look for the girl,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, he's at a house, he's walking around, he finds some flowers. I picked these posies for you, Miss Carol. I mean, it was such a and you're just sitting there going,
She's dead.
okay, is there zombies? Is there zombies? No? Okay. Oh, he's going to the house. No, there's no zombies there. And then and it's the same thing. You're just like, there's nothing here. And
Well,
you have to give yourself enough moments where, if you do tension in something like this, right? There's a lot of times you got to open the door and there's nothing there,
Right.
because the other times when you open the door and it's, hey, this zombie knows how to run or something.
Every time you open the door.
Every time you open the door, there's a zombie behind it. Then you don't know. When they go through office buildings and there's nothing there, or whatever, you just get to the point where you see one zombie behind a pane of glass and that's it. And they don't
Sometimes
get
the tension has to pay
yeah,
off.
sometimes it has to pay off, sometimes it doesn't. But here it's just that I thought that speech was too long. I mean, what's his face as Negan was cool. I mean, as someone who has really no connection to Negan,
Yeah.
Henry D. Morgan I thought was just good into like, yeah, that guy's a dick.
Who?
Yeah, who'd you say?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I said Harry Dean Morgan. Who the hell's Harry Dean Morgan?
So
the
Last
guy-
year I said Richard Dean Morgan or something.
No, it's like
wasn't Henry Morgan the guy on MASH or something?
Yes, he was. That was Colonel Potter.
It was like I was telling them yesterday, or not yesterday, last week when we were doing the podcast, is that when you read it in the comic book, you read it fast.
Well, that comic book's,
And-
like I said, it's a fast read.
And there's
Oh, it's
so
very
many
fast.
pauses in between his speech that's what dragged it out. I think if he went on a speech
Take this.
going through,
But the
Hold on,
Blu-ray...
hold on. Take this. Take Sin City and realize when you adapt directly, it doesn't work.
yeah,
The way that comics are written and the way that it appears on a live action screen, they've got to be different.
yeah.
Look at older I mean, there's no way you're going to believe in a story when Wolverine shows up, you know, like, you've killed everyone that I've ever known, and my adamantium claws that I could pop out of my wrist are going to slice you into pieces, and when those pieces fall on the floor, I'm going to set them on fire, and then they're going to set on fire, and then I'm going to eat them. That doesn't work in a movie. In a movie,
in
you
a
just gotta
book, you
walk
got
into
to... I mean, a comic book is the same thing as a book. You got to describe what's happening.
to a certain degree. I mean, you don't have, you could, obviously you have a visual component.
Because you have pictures, yeah.
But you're also, again, you can read that thing a lot faster. You're not
Right.
reading it.
You're
when
reading it how you
you're
hear
not
it in your
reading
head.
it as there's a line, and then there's 2 panels of him walking to one edge of the camp, and then there's 4 lines as he walks towards the other edge of the camp, and then there's a line as he. You're not 86 panels on this one page,
Right.
to get you to him pacing in front of all these characters. It's 4 panels of a lot of words, but you're flying through those words versus the. You got to figure out where that timing is. To me, and that I thought the timing in the whole thing was not. It kept going down all these different roads and finding other characters.
I
It was
think
good
that the
because
reason-
you see that multiplying force, and I think one of the best lines in the whole show is when she says, "Those aren't the same guys that the other roadblock."
Right.
You know, where you're like, okay, that's the whole point. Is we've got not dozens, we may have a couple hundred dudes who are a part of this group. Again, you keep going, and you're just like, okay. It's weird to have that be the season ender in a season in which you've had 1 or 2 of probably the fastest, most action-packed shows that they've ever done.
Yeah.
Thrown in the middle. So,
Well, one reason Negan's speech may be so long and disjointed as far as being cut up like that, with pauses like you said, is because they shot it word for word from the book for the Blu-ray. Then they cut it for the
Well, yeah,
show.
they've already mentioned that they've shot it 2 different ways. One is going to be including the F-bombs that he drops for the Blu-ray, and then the other way was for what aired on AMC.
see, that's you have a show in which you have people like getting their flesh eaten off,
Yeah.
like long shots. You have Alicia Witt's character in the armory or whatever. She gets eaten. Her cheeks falling off. Ah!
You're seeing
Rips,
guts and intestines.
Wait, guys. Can't use the F word. I mean, come on. You're on cable. You can do whatever you want.
You're on cable, and by that time, it's already close to 10 o'clock, on a Sunday night. Kids are most probably in bed by now.
Hey, the South Park gets away with it.
Most of the kids nowadays, their parents don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Arabella's been watching Walking Dead since it started.
It falls back on
Arabella
the
had to
parents.
go she had to go do a voiceover for Neighbors 2, and she had to say fuck this week.
Really?
Yeah, she loved it because of then the movie, the new Zac Efron, Seth Rogen. Yeah,
Doesn't look that good.
it doesn't look that good, but she had to go in and do some lines for it. I guess either the little girl that they had cast didn't say it right, or they couldn't
I'm not
understand
saying
it, or
the F word.
wouldn't say the F word.
No, I will not say it.
My
okay?
child's not going to say that.
Yeah, so it's like
What?
yeah.
Oh, let's get Chloe Guts prevent. You want to say the C word on it? Go for it.
Yeah.
Just knock it out. We already have an explicit label, but I won't use that word anymore. I think I just disproved my own point.
Well, it's like
I am AMC. Dun 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 dun.
Jim Jeffries says, "What's wrong with you guys? You say motherfucker, and that's worse than saying cunt." So,
And there goes the C word.
I'll say it.
And on that note, I think we need to wrap things up. So for Ethan, I keep
Remember
wanting-
who's in this?
for cunt, motherfucker, and goddamn. So for Chris, Mikey, and Ethan, I'm already saying we'll see you next time. Oh wait, check us out on Facebook.com/Nerdables and on Twitter @Nerdables.
Too late. You already said to see you next time.
Nerdables
Sorry.
Show.
Oh my goodness.